You're listening to Dude Check This Out, episode 19! Welcome to the show. This is the podcast show, Dude Check This Out. Yep, here we are. It's me, Noah Stewart, and Kevin Lands over there on the bed, hanging out. Yep, he's pointing at me, giving me the old finger guns. He has yet to say anything. Give him a little, shooting little kisses too.
I'm not here this time.
Yeah, no.
No, you're gonna have to go do the show on your own.
Is that a ghost?
I believe in you.
I hear a ghost in my head.
I'm Casper.
Just saw a cartoon ghost fly through the room. That's
Hey.
whoa!
Yeah, sorry I'm late. I just, had to do whatever. Yeah, have we started yet?
Yes, we have. This is Dude Check This Out.
Hey, welcome to Dude Check This Out. I saw
Kevin just now entering the room.
Yeah. Did anyone else see like a cartoon ghost fly by, or was that just me?
He was like whispering into my ear.
Yeah,
right
no,
next to my head.
He like phased through the wall as I like came through your hallway, and he was crying. Did you say something mean to him or something?
I hope not.
I don't know. I saw
so.
These tiny little ghost tears, which everyone knows turns into Mars bars. So you have a lot of little Mars bars crumbs just kind of in your hallway.
Is that a reference to something I'm not understanding? Is that
by reference you mean reality?
Okay. Yes.
You know ghost tears
Sure.
are Mars bars, right, Noah?
I've watched plenty of ghost hunters, and that they've said that on that show.
Yes, they have. 100% reality.
Of course.
Ghost hunters.
So yeah, hi, welcome to Dude Check This Out, the experts on paranormal activity and ghost busting. Here we are.
I forgot that's what this podcast was based on.
It's a
ghost
very
hunting.
Effective name.
I think it really gets our point across right in the title.
Lets people know what we're all about.
Yeah.
Anyways, yes, this is Dude Check This Out, the show where two dudes hang out and share stuff with each other, media and whatnot, whether it be comics or music or TV shows, what have you, and we check them out and talk about them.
Yeah. Have a good time doing it.
So yeah, Kevin, what you got going on lately?
Well, I play Ultimate Frisbee. Play it a lot, and the season is just starting to pick up. And so next weekend I have a tournament in Austin. And the weekend after that, I actually got picked up to play on a beach nationals team.
Oh, sweet.
So we're going to Virginia to play in the USA National Beach Tournament or what have you. That's going to be a lot of fun. But I hurt myself playing church frisbee and trying to show off in front of a bunch of people. And now I have this really cool athletic tape on the back of my heel.
It is pretty cool.
I feel like an athlete.
Yeah.
Like James Harden has it on his shoulder and stuff and other people. So I feel like I'm just as athletic as them. I think that's what that means. Once you get the tape, I think you're in the clear to be a professional.
Oh, yeah. Obviously. I mean, look how professional that looks.
It looks amazing. Yeah. I got this at a chiropractor. So I went to a chiropractor for the first time. And he was cool. He broke up scar tissue, is what he said. And more or less just got this little instrument and rubbed really, really hard on the back of my heel and my Achilles tendon. But then the next day, my ankle and my heel felt way better. So he must have done something, which was pretty cool.
That's great. And does it feel okay now?
Yeah, it does feel better. I had some weird problems like right on my heel, and now just my Achilles tendon is just sort of the touch. But that's just because he rubbed it really, really hard with his little metal tools. But I can run again, which is really nice.
Oh, that's great. Yeah.
Anything going on with you?
Honestly, not a ton. I don't know. I played so God of War, the most recent one came out recently.
Yeah. Angry Dad Kratos.
Yeah, that one. And so Jordan I love God of War, but God of War is the reason why she bought a PlayStation 3 when God of War 3 came out.
I know. I did something similar to that.
That's a whole other can of worms.
Oh, jeez, Kingdom Hearts.
Kingdom Hearts, God. But yeah, she loves God of War a lot. So she got first dibs when this came out. So we share custody of our consoles. So she has the PS4 right now. So I got the PS3 and like upgraded the hard drive to be much larger. And so I was able to like throw all my games from like my download list onto my PS3, so now they're just all there.
Yeah.
That way, like if the cloud ever evaporates, I'll still have my stuff. And I recently played the first Crash Bandicoot and the first Spyro the Dragon.
Okay.
All the way through, which I wasn't expecting to say in 2018, but here we are.
Here we are.
Yeah. I don't know, because I've played both of them, but I just kind of messed around with them. But Crash Bandicoot in particular can be frustrating. It's very precise platforming in that game that can be pretty ridiculous. But I would play it before I'd get about halfway through and go, screw this. But this time I played like almost exclusively while listening to podcasts, and that helped manage the frustration a lot.
Yeah.
So like I got to the final level and kind of went like, oh, this is like, I didn't realize it was the final level, so I was like, oh, this is getting pretty hard. I don't know, but like whatever, and I just kept mashing through it. And then I got to Dr. Cortex, who is like the main bad guy of the entire series, and I was like, oh, I'm fighting Dr. Cortex, and it took me like maybe 1 or 2 tries to beat him, and I was like, oh, I beat him. Is that?
Oh, that's the
end.
Is
this the end of the game? And then it like, yeah, it was like final cutscene, roll credits, and I was like, oh, I beat Crash Bandicoot. Huh. Well, here we are.
Yeah, I've never played any of the Crash Bandicoots, so I missed out on that whole wave of nostalgia when the Insane Trilogy or whatever came out, and everyone's like, oh, Crash Bandicoot, I love it so much.
Because I had a PlayStation growing up, but like I did not have a lot of the like kind of mainstream big hits that people remember of the PlayStation. Like I had like Tomba 2 and Croc, Legend of the Gobos, and mostly it was a machine dedicated to me playing Tony Hawk Pro Skater 2.
That is what it did.
Of Tony Hawk Pro Skater 2.
That's what we played.
Yeah, so I've been playing that. I just been, because I don't have my PS4 right now, and I've played pretty much everything I want to on the Switch. I'm making my way through stuff I never got around to playing on the PS3. So that's been fun. Yeah,
so speaking of the Switch, real quick before we get into what we're talking about, I got to the end of Mario Odyssey.
Yeah.
And like the super rad, you take over Bowser and you're like crashing through stuff.
And like the like Sonic Adventure theme song that's going through the end sequence of that.
Right then,
talking about what you're doing, like you're going on the moon, you're running away from the moon. And just it's so good.
I felt really silly. So it's like this really rad, like we're gonna go home, we're gonna do the thing, and I'm Bowser, and there's like Earth over there, like you're in the final area, and there's a big Earth in the background, and you're supposed to break all the pillars, then break the big middle thing, and then you fly to the moon, or you fly back home.
Yeah.
I literally saw the Earth, and I was like, oh, it's the end of the game, and I ran, and I jumped towards the Earth, and died. I just looked at that and go, oh, I guess I'm supposed to do something there. I just started laughing. Just totally thinking that that's what I was supposed to do. Just jump towards the earth. And it just
I mean, I assumed the checkpoint wasn't that severe.
No, it was just back. I mean, it was right when you took over Bowser.
That's pretty good, though.
But it just felt so because like the music kicked in, and I thought like, oh, this is more or less a cutscene, and I just get kind of partake
like escape sequence.
Yeah, and I thought it was gonna be where like you can't really die. It's kind of like it's supposed to be like an epic cutscene at the very end, and they want it to feel super epic. So no matter what you did, you were gonna succeed.
It was very empowering.
Yeah, it felt super cool, and I literally I felt super empowered. Like, here we go, and just jumped towards Earth, and then I died. I felt that was the one that whole epic sequence at the very end was super, super awesome.
Yeah.
But man, I felt so stupid.
And then so after that, when you show up in the
Mushroom Kingdom?
Yeah, the Mushroom Kingdom.
Which is awesome.
Was that spoiled for you before?
No, I didn't know.
Okay, good. Yeah, because that wasn't spoiled for me either. But I did see a portrait in the Food Kingdom there's like a port.
Yeah.
You can find a portal portrait there, and I went like, huh, that looks like the castle from 64, but I'm not gonna go in there now. I got other things to do, like to check out this giant corn over here.
Yeah. I did like the Food Kingdom a lot.
Yeah, Food Kingdom's really good. But I'm really glad I didn't accidentally go in there before the end of the game and ending up in the Mushroom Kingdom, because you can even like go into the store and buy the Mario 64 skin.
Yeah.
So you look like all polygonal. I thought that was super awesome.
And just because Mario 64 is what I grew up playing.
Yeah.
That was the first Mario game that I really spent a ton of time in. So it's really cool that
it was your Crash Bandicoot.
Yeah, that whole area is like just a callback to Mario 64, pretty much. And I mean, I love that area.
Like even down to some of the like same secrets and stuff.
Yeah, for sure. So I'm really that like you can find Yoshi on the top and stuff. So I'm really excited to go back, and I've been going through like some of the levels. The only one I beat, I've gotten every single moon on already, is the Lost Kingdom. I went there and just got every single moon, except for the taxi, whenever the taxi ends up showing up there, because I have to find it in the other worlds first.
Oh yeah, and that's fun. I like all that stuff. I like how all the dudes from all the other kingdoms start showing up in other kingdoms.
And I like how Peach is
makes it all feel very connected.
Yeah, and like how Peach is doing her own thing.
Yeah, she's
That's
like just
super
like
cool.
traveling everywhere.
No, she's like, hey, I'm done being like.
She has all sorts of different cute outfits in all the different kingdoms too. That's really
I just think that it's cool that she's kind of a little more empowered as a character. Be like, yeah, I'm a princess. I can do what I want, and I'm not just gonna be in this castle and then marry you and happy ever after. Like, no, I'm gonna go and do stuff, and you can kind of figure it out. And me and this Tiara girl, we're gonna have our own adventure. So see ya.
Yeah.
Though her adventure is just standing in specific spots for you to find, but I imagine she does other things besides that.
Yeah, traveling.
Yeah.
Seeing the world. Speaking of seeing the world, that's what music bands do when they go on tour.
Nice segue, dude.
Segue.
Very good.
Moving on to what we're talking about this episode.
Yeah.
We're doing music this time. And this week, I recommended you listen to the Australian psychedelic rock band King Gizzard and the Lizard Wizard.
Yep, that's them.
Yep.
They're rad.
They are pretty cool. So, some stuff about King Gizzard. They are 8 members. We got Stu McKenzie, who is kind of like the face of the group.
Mm-hmm.
He's their front man. He also I think writes most of the music. Has most of the like musical ideas and stuff. He does vocals, lead guitar, flute, keyboards, synthesizer, mellotron, bass guitar, sitar, and the zurna.
Yeah, that's that. I know what that is.
Yeah, that's like the Middle Eastern reed instrument.
Yeah,
that you hear on some of the stuff in Nonagon, I think.
Yeah.
We got Ambrose Kenny Smith. He's the one that plays harmonica and keyboard and stuff like that. He's the one that hits the little rattle instrument during Rattlesnake. Joey Walker, other lead singer, he'll show up on some tracks, also does guitar. Craig does guitar. Lucas Skinner, bass. And then we got our 2 drummers, Michael Kavanagh and Eric Moore, who Eric Moore is the second drummer, and a lot of people like to give him shit, but he is also a genius because he is also their manager. And he also manages their independent record label, Flightless Records.
Yeah.
As well as they also manage their own music festival in Australia called Gizfest.
Yep.
Yeah, these guys are crazy all over the place. They've been releasing albums since 2011, and since then have come out with 13 plus albums.
Yeah,
that's a lot. 5 albums alone released in 2017.
Yeah. I do think it's kind of silly that their second drummer, I can kind of relate to that, because if I was making a band, right, and one guy was like, hey, I'll manage you guys, I'll do all this stuff, and I was like, cool, that's awesome, thanks, but I also want to go to shows and I want to be a part of the band. I don't just want to be the manager. And it's well, what can you play? I play the drums. It's well, we already have a drummer and he's really, really good, and he, stuff. It's oh, well, we can have 2 drummers, right? And if I was in like the lead singer's shoes, I'd kind of be like, or whoever's in charge, be like, okay, man, like I don't want to, like, I don't want to leave my friend out. He's already doing so much for us. Yeah, we could have 2 drummers. Like, who's it gonna hurt? What's it gonna hurt?
Yeah.
Just like throw them in there. So I can kind of, I don't know if that's what happened, but I can kind of relate and understand a little bit.
I mean, maybe it was a little bit of that. Also, 2 drums are really loud, and can just really kick it up a notch music wise. So yeah, that's the whole kind of makeup of the band. Yeah, they've been coming out with they just come out with tons of albums, and all their albums are like super different, kind of leaning on different musical ideas.
Yes, they are.
Anything ranging from garage punk to psychedelic rock to like metal influenced like anthology storytelling. They even have like an acoustic record called Paper Mache Dream Balloon, which is like an entirely acoustic album. They have one of their most interesting releases. This is like their second most recent release. It was in November of last year. Polygon to Wonderland.
Mm-hmm.
That way, it's a like kind of psychedelic fantasy pilgrimage epic.
Okay.
But when it released, they released it on Bandcamp instead of at a fixed pay rate. They released it as pay what you want, and basically said like, this album is not copyrighted. We do not own this album. You do. The fans own this album. Do with it what you will. So they released like their own vinyl press, but then like all the fans like created their own album distribution chains and created their own album presses.
Okay.
So, and like people like kind of remixing it, doing whatever they want with it, and it's all totally legal and like okay with the band, because they created and it's an awesome album. It's really good, and they just created this album like as well as all their other albums, and then just let it into the wild.
Yeah.
It was just like, no one does that.
Yeah.
Like, that's like super cool of this band to do.
Because I mean, making just like a Bandcamp album or any kind of work is a ton of effort.
Oh yeah.
It takes a ton of time. So for them to do that and then be like, hey, yeah, also just you can have it.
Yeah, it's yours.
Yeah, that's like
it's free, or if you want to send us some bucks, that's cool too.
Yeah, because they invested probably like at least 2 to 3 months of solid work where they did nothing else but make this thing to potentially make no money off of it at all.
Oh yeah, it's just as long as their other albums, and it's also like one of my favorite albums that they did. It's really good. And they also, their most recent album, Gumboot Soup, was the last album in that 2017 Blitz, and it came out on December 31st. So they came in just under the wire.
Nice.
It's hard to tell if that was intentional, but that's also a pretty solid album. So yeah, that's most of what I have to say about King Gizzard and the Lizard Wizard. A lot of what I said might also just be regurgitating facts from there's a video on YouTube by this channel, Middle 8. I'll put a link in the description, but it was a really cool album, kind of a good, cool all like information dump on King Gizzard. I recommend it.
Gotcha.
But yeah, that's King Giz. Let's get a hot take, Kevin.
Ooh,
what's your hot take on King Gizzard and the Lizard Wizard?
So I only got around to seriously listening to 2 albums. I listened to I'm in Your Mind Fuzz and Nonagon Infinity.
Yes.
And those 2 albums are kind of similar.
Yeah.
More so than I've listened to a few songs and stuff on some of their other albums they seem very, very different from those 2 albums. But these 2 albums are the 2 that I really sat down and listened to a lot. And I'm still not exactly sure where I fall on kind of noise rock, which these 2 albums kind of get into a little bit. King Gizzard does a lot with distortion.
Yes.
And a lot of different things that aren't just, hey, this sounds really nice and cool.
Yeah. Like it isn't just like, here's a beat and some melody and some vocals.
Yeah. But it's very, very using a lot of different sounds that you normally wouldn't consider to be like good music or good musical procedure kind of deal. So I don't think I could go through a bunch of bands like this and really enjoy it, or just start powering through all their albums really, really quickly. I don't think I would enjoy that. But listening to just these 2 albums, I can say that I really like these 2 albums that I've listened to.
Oh, cool.
And now I'm invested to go check out more of their things.
Awesome.
But if you didn't give this to me, I don't know with just my first pass through if I would have stuck around to end up liking them as much as I do.
Right. Like if I were to like recommend them to you like outside the podcast.
Yeah, or you're like, hey, like listen to this band, aren't they really, really cool? And you just show them to me in your car.
Yeah.
And I'm like, oh no, that's pretty cool. Yeah, I like that. I don't think I would go home and be like, man, that was really awesome, and look them up and put them in my phone and really try to get into them. But now that you've given me these 2 albums, I want to go check out. We talked about the like Death of the Universe or whatever that I just downloaded. That I want to listen to that. And if I like that, I know that you really like the whatever banana.
Yeah,
one.
Flying Microtonal Banana.
Yeah, I want to check that out.
That one has like most of my favorite songs on it.
Yeah. So I'm now invested into the band. So I definitely don't think that if it were just up to me, I would have listened to this, because I don't know if it's not my style or there we go, lost the mic, or really like whatever. It's just very different.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm now like kind of I feel like I'm expanding my music taste and kind of expanding my mind with different styles of music and that kind of stuff. Yeah, my mind fuzz. But I really, really like Nonagon Infinity a lot.
Awesome. That's great.
I think that a part of it is I really, really like albums that have a concept behind them. So either, hey, we're exploring this idea, or hey, we're telling a story, or something like that. Especially I like albums that you're supposed to listen to sequentially, and that each song leads into the next song.
Yeah.
Kind of as
Nonagon does that especially well.
Yeah. that this album has an idea behind it and a concept behind it. We put it this way on purpose, and we're not just trying to come up with pop hit singles to do. And so Nonagon Infinity is the idea that each song leads into the next, and the last song leads into the first.
Yeah.
So you put it on
an infinitely looping album.
You just listen to it forever. And then I'm in Your Mind Fuzz. They do that similar to that. Each album leads, or each song leads into the next song.
The first 4 songs especially are like kind of one big song.
Yeah. And so I think that a part of why I really like King Gizzard is that they do that in at least these 2 albums. Then I really, really like that. And that with the Microtonal Banana, whatever that album is, that you told me that the whole concept about that is using like the notes in between notes.
Yeah, so they for Flying Microtonal Banana, they like modded their guitars. They added extra frets to their guitars so they could play microtones. So they basically like turned their electric guitars into like electric sitars.
Mm-hmm.
And it gives off a kind of Middle Eastern sound that's really cool.
And so that's a kind of a concept of, hey, we want to explore this idea in this album. And I think doing that is a really, really interesting and a much better use of the album structure than just, hey, these are a bunch of rad songs and I'm going to put them all on there and then, hey, I have an album.
Yeah. King Gizzard, with all, like, almost every single one of their albums has, because it has, like, a specific musical idea and they all kind of, like, dabble in different genres. I've gone weeks just listening to King Gizzard, because I can go from album to album and still feel musically fulfilled checking out other different types of music stuff.
And so I think that's really, really cool that they do that. I also think that they're, at least in these 2 albums, they're the best when they're just kind of on that grindy, nonstop beat, going, kind of garage rock band feel. That's where I enjoy them the most.
Yeah.
I really think
you get a lot of that on Nonagon.
Yeah. And even like the first 4 or 5 songs in I'm in Your Mind Fuzz kind of do something similar.
Yeah.
And I think that's when I enjoy them the most. But I do really like that in some of their other songs in those albums, they kind of step away from that and go more into other things. Kind of more of a jazzy feel or a funky feel or something like that. And I think that it's really, I like those a lot too. And it's a nice kind of parallel between the non-stop grind that I just constantly bob in my head to that I really, really like.
Yeah.
To kind of take a step back. Because then once we go back to that, the non-stop go, never stopping beat, I'm like, oh yeah, we're back. All right, really cool. Yeah, I was waiting for this to come back. Especially in, what is it? In Nonagon Infinity, there is 2 songs that do that. I think it's Invisible Face.
Oh, yeah.
Invisible Face.
It kind of drops out and then comes back in in the middle. Yeah.
And so, Mr. Beat.
Mr. Beat's so good.
Is really good, and it's a much kind of chiller, and it's a little less that like really that grind.
Yeah, instead of like really like energetic and fast paced, it's more like kind of funky.
Yeah, and then at the end of Mr. Beat, it goes into Evil Death Roll,
yeah.
and then we're back to that real high energy thing.
Evil Death Roll's so fast.
And so that transition from the end of Mr. Beat into Evil Death Roll, since that album just loops infinitely, that transition feels so good all the time.
Yeah.
Because I really like Mr. Beat, and then it like kicks back into that high energy. I'm like, oh yeah, okay, we're back to the good stuff, even though Mr. Beat's really good.
Yeah.
So I think that albums with concepts and ideas behind them, and that's kind of why I like a lot of metal, because they have, hey, we're telling a story. And I like the fact that, hey, each song tells a story, and I listen to the whole album, and like, oh, I have this musically fulfilled and this idea in my head also fulfilled. And it's easier to kind of try to look for more things and why did they make these decisions in here when they're telling a story. And so I like those concepts. I think King Gizzard does a really good job of that. Nice. So I think that's another reason why I really, really like them.
Yeah, and if you like those concepts, I feel like you'd especially like Murder of the Universe and Polygonal Wonderland is a lot of that too. Yeah, so cool. Let's go ahead and hop in here to, I guess let's talk about, first let's talk about I'm in Your Mind Fuzz some. Yeah, it has the first 4 songs, I'm in Your Mind Fuzz, I'm in Your Mind, I'm not in your mind, Cellophane, and I'm in Your Mind Fuzz.
Yeah.
Are all kind of like one big song, all leading into each other.
Yeah, and so I especially like when it gets back to, so Cellophane is a great song.
Cellophane's so good, yeah.
I really like Cellophane. And the fact that after Cellophane, you go back to I'm in Your Mind Fuzz, and they bring a lot of the same ideas from I'm Not in Your Mind, and specifically I'm in Your Mind. Those like music ideas and rhythms and notes, they bring it back.
In like a whole big crescendo, like this is the big finish kind of thing. Yeah.
And I think that's really, really cool. And they do that a lot in Nonagon Infinity as well, that they'll have a musical concept, a musical idea, or a motif or something. And then later in the album, they'll be like, they bring it back and start doing it again. And I'm like, oh yeah, like it's something that you latch onto. Like, oh yeah, I remember this. From
like that little musical phrase is like being interlaced into this other song.
And I think that's a really, really cool way of connecting the whole album together. And so in those 4 songs, it's kind of one big song. So doing kind of callbacks is like a rewarding listening experience. Yeah. Because as you listen through them, you hear that again, and you're like, oh yeah, I remember this, or oh yeah, that's tying back to this thing, and you feel good or smart or whatever for remembering and for them bringing that back.
And sometimes they'll even do that like from album to album. Like there's one of the lead-in tracks in Murder of the Universe is the main riff from People Vultures from Nonagon Infinity. So I'm just like sitting there like, oh yeah, that song. Like,
so I think that's really, really cool that they do that.
Yeah.
Though I will say, talking about People Vultures and Cellophane too, a lot of their music videos are weird.
Oh yeah.
You can
it's psychedelic rock for a reason.
Yeah, especially in Cellophane kinda, or in Satan Speeds Up, the one of the last 2 songs in I'm in Your Mind Fuzz. Yeah. It's really good, but that's when I can smell the drugs.
Yeah, Satan Speeds Up is a very strange song.
And that's where the real psychedelic of the psychedelic comes in. I can just be like, oh no, they're on acid right now. I can smell it, I can see it, I can definitely hear it. Okay, no, we're all on the same page. All right, cool.
Yeah, especially Slow Jam 1 on I'm in Your Mind. Like the main first main lyric on that is I need to slow my mind down. I can definitely see those who do, the marijuana. Could see them really getting
those
into that
marijuanas.
Yes, the marijuana people.
Yeah.
You know who you are.
You're so upset with them.
You know who you are.
Don't you dare think
druggies.
Yeah. We're in Texas. It's still illegal here.
Yeah. Yeah, I like those songs a lot. Hot Water I think is.
Oh yeah, Hot Water and Slow Jam 2 are super jazzy and funky, and I think it's such a nice change of pace from that high energy driving beat. And Hot Water is probably one, maybe not I think if you take the first 4 songs as one big song, I like that whole concept a whole bunch.
Yeah.
But if I just had to pick a individual song to listen to, it's probably a kind of a toss-up between Cellophane and Hot Water. Hot Water is so good. I really like that song.
I also really like, for some reason, whenever I think of like my favorite moments on that album, I think a lot about Am I in Heaven.
That's a good song.
I just really like the driving beat of Am I in Heaven and like the main chorus in that song.
Yeah. So yeah, that album, it took me a while to really get into it and like sit down and really listen to it all.
Because you hadn't really listened to anything like this before, right?
And so it took a while to kind of break through like the noise. Because his voice always has a little, or normally has a little distortion to it.
Yeah, they use like old equipment. Like his mic is like very extremely analog.
Yeah, and because of that, it kind of fades into the background a little bit.
Yeah.
And kind of makes it just a music idea instead of, hey, listen to these lyrics, I'm trying to really get a message across or whatever.
Yeah,
but,
and you've seen live footage of how he sings,
yeah,
but yeah, like he just like mouth all the way up on the microphone.
Yeah, because I saw their live performance of Nonagon Infinity somewhere like in Sydney or something like that.
Yeah.
And a lot of time he just puts his mouth like completely over the microphone and then starts yelling.
Yeah.
And I'm like, I did that on the old mics and Noah got really mad at me. But this guy can do it and Noah thinks it's cool. Like, what the heck?
Yeah, but we weren't trying to make a psych rock album. Trying to make an easily listened to podcast.
I still feel like you're playing favorites.
Yeah, well. I mean, have you seen Stu McKenzie?
He's a hottie. A hottie with the body. That's what you meant, right?
Sure.
Yeah.
It's very Australian.
Well, that, and he would also do things where he would like grab his guitar and play something and then run it over to the speaker,
the amp,
to get this like horrible feedback and be like, all right, cool, that's the sound I want.
Like a lot of time he'll a lot of time he'll like in live sets he'll like play a riff and then like turn the guitar upside down to get like crazy distortion, or he'll like just kind of do like a little half somersault and then come back up. And yeah, he loves playing with the distortion on the guitar.
So that's things that I normally don't jump out at me as things like, oh man, I love that. I love how this guitar sounds really, really bad right now. But the more I listen to it, it does reward repeated listens because you get more of the motifs and the kind of stuff that's behind all just the crazy distortion and stuff like that.
Yeah.
And I don't know if, let's say there was absolutely no distortion. Let's just say that they, instead of being kind of like a noise, kind of like really quick rock band, they were a little more melodic. I don't know if I would like that better or worse. Because I'm trying to think that because I don't listen to a lot of distortion and that kind of stuff.
Right.
The normal music I listen to. This is kind of my first real jump into that. And I'm trying to think that if they didn't have that, but they kept all the other things the same, would they still be the same band and would I like them as much?
Well, you might want to try listening to a Paper Mache Dream Balloon.
Okay.
Because it's an all acoustic album, so like by its very nature can't really play with distortion.
Yeah.
So that one ends up being a lot more melodic, but it still definitely feels very much like King Gizzard and Lizard Wizard.
Okay, I'll have to check that out.
I'd be interested to see what you think about that one.
Yeah, for sure.
So that's I'm in your Mind Fuzz. Now let's talk about like the big thing, which is Nonagon Infinity.
Yeah, Nonagon Infinity is awesome.
Yeah, so
I'm super into it.
So this is the infinitely looping album, and it kicks off with Robot Stop.
Yep.
One of the things I really like about Robot Stop is I think toward like in the third, kind of the last third of the song, it goes through a lot of the different musical phrases that you will hear later in the album.
Yeah, for sure.
There's like 5 different musical phrases that you'll hear in other songs, like towards the end of Robot Stop, kind of preparing you for the journey to come.
Yeah, because they drop some like from Gamma Knife, which is one of my favorite songs. They drop that, and then People Vultures has a specific phrase that they drop, and they kind of do that. So I do think that is Nonagon Infinity is one of the best examples of here are some music motifs, some music themes that we're going to drop throughout. And so the whole album is more one giant concept instead of these very individual songs.
Yeah.
So I think that's super, super rad. I really like how they did all of that. And I just think it's super cool how that concept of, hey, this album just goes for infinity, huh? That's pretty neat. And literally all it was the last song goes back into the first. Hey, we did it.
Yeah, but it's also like, because they're interlacing the songs that way, you can pretty much drop in anywhere in the album and like be fine.
Yeah.
Like, especially because like a lot of the songs end with that like Nonagon Infinity, open the door. And kind of to transition into the next one.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, you can just like pretty much drop in anywhere and like be fine kind of going through the rest of the album.
Yeah, and I just like how it's more or less just a giant jam session.
Oh yeah.
Where they're like, hey, we're just gonna come and we're gonna just rock and we're just gonna jam out for about an hour. And it feels like you just gotta sit in on them just like jamming out and having a great time. Like, hey, these are our favorite songs. We're just gonna do them. We're just gonna power through them all because we just want to jam. Like, we're not here to talk to people. We're not here to, interact with the audience. We're here we just want to play this album. It's gonna be sweet.
Yeah.
And at the very end, it loops back to the top. And so it's something that I think that Nonagon Infinity specifically, but also King Gizzard, because there's a little noisy, I think they're really, really good to listen to while trying to focus on something else. So if you're like running, or you're playing Rocket League or Overwatch or something that kind of requires a lot of attention, but you want something to kind of keep you pumped up and going, put it on Nonagon Infinity, put it on a repeat, and just listening to the album until you're done with whatever you're doing. Yeah. So like, hey, I want to work out for an hour and a half. I just put Nonagon Infinity on repeat and just go. Gamma Knife
and People Vultures are especially good for that, like, driving, like, keep going kind of.
And so they have a few songs that are like, Invisible Face has like a super awesome, like, jazzy interlude in the middle, which I think is one of my favorite parts of the album because it's so cool and different. But just an album as a whole rocks and just goes and
has,
never
like,
stops.
Constant energy.
Yeah, and because the lyrics aren't super in your face and more kind of a little distorted and a little bit in the background.
It's kind of like psychedelic nonsense, really.
It's really easy to focus on other things.
I mean, like one of the songs, Wah Wah, in particular, where like the lyrics. Yeah, the chorus is just like wah-wahing with the guitar.
Yeah, they do that in Cellophane too, where they just kind of sing along with the guitar. That is really fun. That music video is also really weird. He like jumps into a TV and they're all wearing like weird robe snuggie things.
Yeah.
What a great band.
Yeah. But I also really like just like how different in that album, how different Mr. Beat is.
Oh yeah,
and how like
super
specific an idea Mr. Beat is, because the chorus is like what's a Mr. Beat, always miss a beat. And it's because it's like, I think it's in 7/8 time.
Yeah.
So like it'll do like 1 2 3 4 5 6 7 8, and then on 1 2 3 4 5 6 7 it like drops out and they go back to the top of the chorus. So that's why he always misses a beat.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I do think that Gamma Knife is in 7/8, and some of their songs in I'm in Your Mind Fuzz are like in 3/4 or in 7/8, or they just do a lot of different time signatures instead of just the constant 4/4 that everything is in.
Yeah, because that's the easiest time signature.
Yeah, so I think it's really, really interesting and really, really cool. As you listen to it, it has a very different feel than a lot of other things, specifically like Gamma Knife. I think People Vultures for a good part of it too.
Yeah.
That the phrases seem really, really long because they're in 7/8 and different things, which is a cool concept and different musically because it just feels so different than the 4/4 we're always used to. So people are trying to, it's like, oh wait, like in 7/8 specifically, because it doesn't ever finish, it's like, because the 7 leads back into the top instead of like 2, like an 8 of 8 or 4/4, it feels really nice and complete. And then you start the next phrase and it feels nice and complete. With 7/8, you always feel like you're stumbling into the next thing that's always like leading you. So you never feel like you can land anywhere or stop anywhere because you're always at that 7, it drops out and picks back up again. So you always feel like you're stumbling into the next phrase, which is this never-ending go like idea.
Musically, that's always keeping your attention too.
Yeah.
Because like a lot of their songs like don't even have a ton of vocals. Mm-hmm. Like it'll just be like crazy jam sessions for like 2 minutes straight. But I always thought, like, when I was listening to it on the first pass, I was always just like transfixed, just like, oh man, like there's so much going on here. Like especially in back to I'm in Your Mind Fuzz, like out of like those 4 opening tracks, like 2 of them like don't even have vocals in them really.
Yeah.
But yeah, just the musical ideas are so concrete and like changing all the time. It's just super entertaining to listen to.
Yeah. So that's why I'm really curious. I need to go listen to their acoustic, because I think for me it was just a very different feel to have a lot of distortion and that kind of stuff in the music itself.
Yeah.
And that was a very intentional musical idea and concept that they're putting in their albums that I'm not used to. And so I wonder if I would like them more or less or what if they didn't have that. Because now I really like it. Now, after listening to it, I think it's like an integral part of what their sound is.
Acquired taste.
Yeah, that I think I really like. So it is definitely an acquired taste that I'm glad you kind of were like, hey, this is really great. You will like it. Just you gotta fight
Give it
through
some time.
Yeah, fight through it. Kind of similar to Devilman Crybaby. That after like it's like a gut check. It's like a gut check, and they're like, can you handle this? And by the end, I was like, okay, no, I can handle this. This is cool. So the more I've talked about it now with you, the more I end up being like, no, I really, really do like this band. Because
Awesome.
even like walking into here, I was like, I'm not exactly at my hot take at the start. I'm like, I'm not exactly sure how I feel about noise rock or psych rock. I don't know. And then the more I've talked about it, I'm like, no, yeah, like, these guys are really cool. I'm on board. This is awesome. The 7/8 time and the blah, blah, blah. Like, yeah. No, okay, no, these guys are rad. I like them a lot more now than I did like 40 minutes ago.
Well, that's great.
Yeah.
Sweet. Was there anything else you wanted to say about Nonagon Infinity?
It's rad. It's probably my favorite album. So an Invisible Face and Wah Wah, I think is really, really cool. Like the change of pace to get back into the whatever the last song on the album is called, Train.
Yeah, Road Train.
Road Train.
Yeah.
Getting back into that. But in Wah Wah specifically, they hit you with that like reed instrument, whatever it's called. That the guy plays
the Zerna.
Yeah, and it makes me kind of giggle every time because there's nowhere in there, and then all of a sudden Wah Wah just comes in super loud and like right in your face, and every time it kind of makes me like look up and kind of start looking around, like what is? Oh no, that's that's kind of silly.
Yeah. And they'll do that a lot in Fine Microtonal Banana.
Yeah.
Just because that album by its very nature is very Middle Eastern sounding.
Yeah.
But yeah, and speaking of Road Train, I believe I was listening to like one of their interviews, and they said people want them to like do like Nonagon Infinity as like a live performance, like to like have them play the entire thing. But apparently the drum beat on Road Train is like so crazy and like very fast.
Yeah, it is.
That it's very hard to replicate outside of a studio setting.
Oh, okay.
So they're trying to figure out a way that like as it stands right now, that song is impossible for them to play live. So they're trying to figure out a way for them to be able to play that so that they can do an entire set of Nonagon Infinity.
Gotcha. Huh. Good to know.
I just thought that was a weird fact
that
about
is a
that
weird
song.
Fact.
Yeah.
Cool. Yeah, they're really good. The more I've talked about them, the more I like them. I think that their musical concepts and ideas are really, really interesting and worth listening to, but they are a very unique and different band. Maybe not unique in the sense of I'm sure there's a bunch of other bands out there like them.
Yeah, I mean, there's like other psych rock bands, but like out of, other psych rock bands I listen to, like Tame Impala and stuff like that, it's very different. And King Gizzard, just like with all their different like musical ideas they're trying with every single album, and just the way that they carry themselves in the industry. Like other bands in history sure have, done like multiple album releases in the same year and been like, some of the best albums those people ever put out. Like Elvis Presley did that. Aerosmith did that. Like David Bowie did that. Yeah. Like there's been artists like that, but like no one does that these days. And like these guys are doing it.
Yeah.
It's crazy. Like when they said that they would come out with 5 albums in 1 year, when Flying Michael Tonal Banana like came out, like people were like kind of concerned. Are these going to be good, or are you just doing this because you can?
Yeah.
But I think by the time Murder of the Universe came out, everyone was just like, yeah, no, I mean, if anyone can do this, these guys can do this.
Yeah.
So they are kind of the real deal.
Yeah.
And they're probably my favorite band of the moment.
Yeah, they're super cool.
Yeah.
I would say if you're willing to give it a shot, you need to be kind of at first glance or first listen, you're going to be like, I don't know how you might say, I don't know how I feel about this. I'm not really sure, but just give an album at least 2 whole passes through, and then decide whether you want to keep listening or not, because the first pass is going to kind of make you a little unsure, but the more you listen to it, there's a lot more through the underneath the surface of just the kind of the distortion and the noise.
Definitely a lot of rewards on
repeated listens. Totally.
Yeah. Sweet. Well, I guess that's it. So now it's time for ratings. So for this rating, we kind of talked about the music video for People Vultures. I guess, like, description, it's like
weirdest thing.
The entire band is like in a giant bird costume.
Yeah, it's like kind of like a bird, like almost like a float of like in a parade, and they all like stick their arms and heads and legs through it, and their legs are kind of dangling, and they're playing their instruments.
Yeah, and then there's like crazy Sentai warriors that are like fighting them, and I know how much you like Sentai warriors.
I do like Sentai warriors.
So
I'm a big Power Rangers fan.
What's would you give this on a scale of rad, like People Vulture Sentai warriors?
Okay. If I had to pick one, I'm going to give King Gizzard and the Lizard Wizards a Battleborg rating.
Great.
I love Battleborgs.
Yeah,
I had Battleborg like toys when I was really young, when I was a lot younger.
Because I knew you were really into Power Rangers.
I was, and I was also into Battleborgs, which is more or less insect Power Rangers.
Yeah.
They were Sentai warriors. They had giant bugs that came out of the ground and formed a giant robot.
I feel like, did that come before Power Rangers? I always feel like
I think it came after.
It's like that and like Battle Bots and Transformers or something. Like something came first and people are always mad.
Yeah. And so I'm pretty sure it was Power Rangers first.
Yeah.
And then
Battleborgs.
Battleborgs was like, hey, we could do that.
Knock off Power Rangers.
Yeah. But I remember as a kid really liking it, and it died super early because Power Rangers was just the thing.
Just the runaway train.
Yeah. And so I like Power Rangers too, but a part of me always wanted to find the Beetleborgs again. They always have a special place in my heart, Beetleborgs. I had toys with them, and I was like, I remember being slightly older and being like, where did this come from? Like,
how did I end up with this toy?
This isn't Power Rangers, but it's Power Rangers.
Similar enough.
Yeah. And so I remember later in life, as like in high school, whatever, finding that Beetleborgs were the thing and being like, oh yeah, this is the thing I always wanted but never had. So that's what I'm saying. King Gizzard is the thing I always wanted but never had.
I'm sure Battleborgs is available somewhere on.
It's on the internet, sure. I haven't looked for it, and I'm sure it's nowhere near as good as I remember, but that's what I'm going to give it.
All right.
Battleborgs.
Cool. Well, that's the rating.
Whatever it was.
Beetleborgs. Yes, Beetleborgs.
That's what it's called,
Beetleborgs, right? Out of
I think that's what it's
People
called.
Vulture Sentai Warriors. I'm pretty sure. Yeah.
Okay, cool.
They have like big like horn things.
Yeah.
Right. There we go.
Yay.
Yes. Beetleborgs. I guess that now that we're done with ratings, I guess that'll do it for this episode.
Yeah, I guess we're done.
Wait!
Whoa, Sam! Whoa!
Guys, I'm here.
Samantha Myers!
It's me.
You just came in through a hand glider.
Nobody
this
panic.
room.
It's just me.
Well,
Samantha Myers.
I am
Samantha
panicking.
Myers. Well, what?
I'm panicking!
Oh, God. Samantha
Sorry,
Myers.
Calm down.
I was panicking.
But it's over now.
It's over now.
It's fine.
It's fast.
Hopefully
that didn't blow out everyone's eardrums. Just most people's.
Yeah, well, I'm sure it's fine. Samantha Myers.
Hey, Sam.
Hi.
What in Daniel Boone's Mossy Undies are you doing in my house?
I don't know what that means, but I'm here for my segment of the podcast.
Did you say Daniel Boone's Mossy Undies?
You heard right.
Just want to make sure that's what I heard. No, okay, yeah.
Look, I know you guys have wanted me on the podcast for a while, and I'm
true.
so honored that you guys picked me for your first guest ever.
About that.
Sam,
I am the first guest, right?
Sam, have you listened to every episode?
Of course.
Every single one?
Yeah, I'm your biggest fan. That's why you picked me as your first guest.
Yeah. So episode 18, did you listen to that one?
Yeah.
And 13? I think it's 13.
Yeah.
Or maybe it's 12.
Yeah, of course.
Yeah,
I was really impressed how you guys were able to like change your voices to make it sound like there were other guests, but
yeah, it was a lot of work in post. But yeah, you're totally our first guest.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
I
know.
One.
And I know it's like episode 20 or whatever, but I just, I took a long time to pick what I wanted because I wanted it to be like super awesome for you guys.
Yeah, well, we really appreciate it as our first and best and last guest.
Yeah.
Actually, this is it. After you, episode 20 is our last episode.
Excellent.
We're wrapping up the
podcast on a high note.
Yeah,
and on the highest note we can. I think it's like a C sharp.
Sounds like
you are, Sam.
You're
the
C
sharp of our hearts.
I don't know anything about music.
Well, I mean, it is the highest note known to man.
Sound scientist Kevin Land.
I'm an engineer.
Expert.
I would know.
Are you pitch perfect? Can you sing?
I
can you sing that for us right now?
Oh, a C sharp? All right,
yeah.
Here we go. I said E, but it was actually a C.
It was
actually a C sharp.
Got it.
Yeah.
Wow.
But yeah, so that's literally the highest note known to man right there.
You have dogs
in
the room.
I have no way of knowing. I don't know what that has to do with me being a guest, but it's cool.
It's the highest note we could end on. You, Miss C sharp herself.
Anyway.
So what you got for us, Sam?
Oh yeah, what do you bring into the table?
The table. I am going to give you guys Why the Last Man.
Ooh.
A comic by Brian K. Vaughan.
Mr. Brian K. Vaughan himself.
And when I started getting into comic books in high school, this is one of the first ones that I read.
Cool.
And it was complete when I started reading it. It's 10 volumes, but we're not going to do all 10 volumes, but
it's a lot of comic.
It's really awesome.
We already made that mistake with New Avengers.
Yeah, that was also a lot of comic. So are we just going to read like the first one, the first two, the first 10?
Well, ideally you would read all of it, but we can talk about the first 2 volumes.
Rad. And then if we like it, we'll probably
You're
read
gonna
all
love
of it. Okay.
We
could also eventually do what we've promised on other ones. Have you finished Bakuman yet?
Close. I've actually been getting farther lately. I'm on chapter like 145.
Have they started Reversi yet? Do you know what that is?
No.
Okay, well, that's like the last little bit of it. You'll get to that eventually.
I'm excited for it.
That's probably my favorite arc is when they get there. But enough about that.
I'm also excited for Why the Last Man.
Yeah.
I've read Saga, which is by Brian K. Vaughan.
He's great.
And I really like that. So I'm excited to read his earlier work.
So is this like, does it pose a question? Like why the last man? Is that what it's about?
Why is he the last man? I mean, basically, that's the question.
Oh, so is he actually the last man on Earth?
Yeah.
So is he like by himself or are there ladies around?
So all the men die off of some mysterious disease, and Yorick, the main character, is the only guy left, and they're trying to figure out why, and he's trying to get to his girlfriend, who is in Australia at the time everything happens.
Down under.
Yeah, she's down under.
How far?
It's very
6 feet?
romantic. You know, he's
Australia?
the only guy left.
Australia?
No, that he's the only man left, and he can have any woman he wants because basically everybody wants to have babies with him.
That's romantic?
And he wants to go find his girlfriend instead.
Oh,
so
okay.
is this like...
That's
I thought
romantic.
you were saying the first part, like, that doesn't sound romantic.
So is this actually just like the biggest harem manga ever?
No.
Is that what this is?
Basically Love Hina.
I don't know what that is. I'm assuming it's just a harem
There's
manga.
there's
Okay.
another main character, Agent 355, who I actually learned her name is based on the first American female secret agent who is called Agent 355.
No, I thought like out of all the agents in America, the 351st or 55th one was the first lady. Not like the wife of the president, but was like the first woman.
Right. Not the first lady.
Yeah, you know.
I mean, maybe, who knows? Martha Washington
Secret
killing
agent.
those redcoats.
So
I'd
there were
first lady.
354 agents of America before Martha Washington?
Yeah.
Well, that checks out.
I'd read that comic.
I would also read that comic. I would definitely read that. That sounds amazing.
All right, we'll write that one next.
Yeah, that's what we're going to do. We're going to write it. We'll
Yeah.
pin that down together.
Yeah, and then we'll put it on the podcast.
Cool.
As everybody else should check this
Oh,
out.
yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, we'll start a second podcast of, hey, everyone in the world,
Check this out.
check this out.
We'll do a table read. live table read of
That'd be good.
this comic we're making.
So wait, is there only going to be 3 characters, or is it just going to be?
We'll do different voices.
No,
Okay,
there's going
rad.
to be 355 characters.
Yeah,
They're all the agents,
Yeah.
and then you're the last one.
Yeah.
You're 355.
Yeah. I'm okay with that.
Noah, can you do what is that? 354 voices divided by 2. It's like a close to like 175 voices. Something
Yeah, of
like
course. Why wouldn't
Right.
I?
177 voices.
Easy.
Yeah, me too.
Cool.
Voice acting. Psh. Bunch of hacks.
Yeah. It's
Yeah,
so
the
easy.
whole lot of them. It's so easy. You just talk into a mic. I'm doing it right now.
Yeah.
Come on. Psh.
Psh.
Yeah, let's just. Now we're just just alienating, and all like at least like 100 of our listeners
Yeah.
are all voice actors. We know this.
Yeah. I thought I was the only listener.
You actually might be.
No.
After this episode.
That's not true. Your mom listens, right? Somebody's
It's
mom.
true. My mom listens.
My mom does not listen.
Why not? She doesn't like to support you.
I think she doesn't know how.
She doesn't know how to support you.
I don't know how to listen. Though I did know that a friend of mine, Jose, listened to our podcast and was subscribed.
Wow.
And he told me last night that he unsubscribed to our podcast.
He unsubscribed?
He's like, yeah, I listened to 3 and the next one downloaded and I wasn't going to listen to it, so I just unsubscribed. And I went, that's fair.
It's more than
Wow.
fair.
I understand. To be fair, I probably wouldn't listen to my podcast, so I don't expect you to. And he goes, it's not that bad. I'm like, no, it's just I don't listen to a lot of talk show podcasts, so it's good.
But we have fun making it.
You're dang right we do. I have a great time doing this.
That's all that really matters.
Yeah.
And that I get to be a guest.
The first guest.
And the only guest.
And the last guest. Yep, we're wrapping it up after 20, so I hope you guys enjoyed this Dude Check This Out run.
It's gotta be the best episode ever.
It better be.
Can we get some other guests? I mean, like musical guests or something. Not like talk show guests, because I'm the only one.
Uh-huh. So you
I mean, Dawn
like you want like a
Glover hosted
band on
SNL
here to
recently.
like perform or just to hang out and talk to?
To perform. Like an actual talk show. Like a TV talk show.
Oh. Well, I'm
Do
sure
you-
we could
If
I'm sure we could
we're
work
doing
that
that,
out.
Do
can
you think we
you-
could get Lady Gaga?
I mean, probably.
She- her ska- but
Does anyone have her number?
I think we could get her,
Get
but I don't
Lady
know if we
Gaga
could
on
get
the
her
horn?
by the next like 2 weeks. That'd be the
Mm.
thing. Her schedule's pretty packed, but I know like she would come. It's just, whether or not we could work it in.
Right.
Can you make like a monologue?
A monologue?
Yeah, for the next episode.
Like about my life or something?
No, like
no,
an
just
SNL
like an
like
SNL
monologue. You'll start the podcast with your
a
monologue.
monologue.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Excellent. Okay. I'll work on it. Does it have to be funny?
No, but we would prefer that it is. Okay, not just entertaining. It doesn't have to be funny. It does have to be entertaining.
Not really good at either of those things.
Glad to have you on. It'll be great, we promise.
Yeah.
Next episode will be great, we promise.
Oh, yeah,
But that's next episode, which means that it's time for this episode to be over. Thanks everyone for listening.
Yep.
To another great episode of Dude Check This Out.
It's been fantastic. It's been
Great.
good. It's been nice,
Excellent.
awesome.
Amazing.
Sick.
Nasty. Nasty. There it is. All right, thanks everyone.
All right,
Have a good
bye.
week. Bye-bye. All right, we're gonna get started here.
Butt cheeks.
But there it is. The first one.
There's only one more.
Hmm?
No, I said butt cheek. There's only one more. What there? I just said.
Oh,
because
because it's a singular butt cheek?
And there's people only have 2 butt cheeks, Noah. Do you have more than 2 butt cheeks?
Listen.
We're all our own people, okay? No judgment.
All right, look. Didn't want it to come out here on this platform.
But here we are.
But here we are.